Welcome to Match Two's version of salty takeaways and bitter ends. And there probably are going to be a lot of those after the 3-0 loss of Atlanta United in Commerce City, Colorado, against the Colorado Rapids to even up Atlanta United's record on the year to 1 win and 1 loss. Let's get you into the lineups and how things started. We'll have your comments that have been brought in on Twitter coming up in just a little bit. And thanks to everyone who does contribute on Twitter. And don't forget, obviously, we'll be taking a look at Atlanta and Colorado again on Monday for Overreaction Monday on Soccer Down Here, starting at 9:05 Eastern Time on the SDH network, available at soccerdownhere.net, and the SDH app available iOS and Android. Your starting lineup, obviously, the news of Osvaldo Alonso not being in the starting 11 was a bit of a shock heading into the match itself. So things had to be adjusted a little bit. Your back four was Andrew Gutman, Miles Robinson, Alan Franco, Ronald Hernandez. George Campbell ended up being the sixth in the midfield, flanked by Amar Sejdic and Mateus Osechu. And your front three, Tyler Wolff on the left, Joseph Martinez in the middle, and Brooks Lennon as a right winger in the lineup for Atlanta United. Brad Guzan in net and wearing the armband. Looking at the numbers from SofaScore, by the end of it, pretty much everyone in the sixes. Brad Guzan with a 5.8 at the end of the night. Andrew Gutman at a 6.8. Miles Robinson with the 2 yellows and the subsequent issuing of the red card, which means he'll be out of the match against Charlotte next week with a 6.5. Alan Franco, a 6.7. Ronald Hernandez had a yellow card. He also had a 6.7. Also, Amar Sejdic, a 6.7. George Campbell with a 6.8. Mateus Osechu, a 6.9, along with Brooks Lennon. Joseph Martinez, a 6.4. Tyler Wolff, a 6.2. Your substitutions, Caleb Wiley in for George Campbell in the 64th minute, had a 6.3. Marcelino Moreno, a part of the double switch at the time for Brooks Lennon, comes in, and Marcelino Moreno had a 6.4. Dom Dwyer had a yellow card coming in the 72nd minute for Amar Sejdic as Gonzalo Pineda shifted focus to try to get an equalizer down 2, and eventually it would be down 3 for 3-0. Dom Dwyer had a 6.5. Looking at your stats on the night, Atlanta United with 64% of possession, 12 total shots to 9, 4 of them on target to 3 for Colorado, and 5 blocks for Atlanta United, only 2 for Colorado on the night. Corners 8-5 on the night. Offside, Atlanta had 3-2 for Colorado. 18 fouls for Colorado to 14 for Atlanta United. 4 yellow cards on the night for Atlanta United, 2 of them going to Miles. The 1 red card, obviously, to Miles as well. 4 yellows for Colorado on the night. 3 big chances for Colorado. Atlanta United had 2 to counterattack. 2 big chances missed, 1 counterattack for Atlanta United. 1 shot off of that counterattack. 9 shots inside the box for Colorado compared to 5 for Atlanta United, which meant that 7 were outside, none outside the box for Colorado. 4 saves on the night for William Yarborough as he came up big on a couple of chances, and no saves on the night for Brad Guzan. 504 passes for Atlanta United compared to 287. 85% completion percentage for Atlanta United, going 430 of 504. 200 out of 287 for Colorado long balls, 27 of 66 for Colorado at a 41% clip. Atlanta United 20 of 38 at 53%. Crosses on the night, 6 of 21 for Atlanta United. That was 29% conversion rate, but they had 2 more crosses than Colorado, who went 4 out of 10. Atlanta United 7 of 19 on their dribbles, as opposed to 5 of 10. And duels won 49-48 in favor of Colorado. And your aerials won were 12 out of 21 on the night. 19 tackles to 15 for Colorado, 9 interceptions to 6, and 22 clearances on the night for Colorado, as opposed to 9 for Atlanta United. So once again, reminder, the yellow cards for Atlanta United, 2 for Miles, 1 for Ronald Hernandez, and the 1 for Dom Dwyer. For Colorado, their yellow cards, Austin Trusty, Mark Anthony Kaye, Jack Price, who wore the captain's armband on the night, and also for Andre Shinyashiki. Your numbers for Colorado, who on the composite finished up at a 7.09 courtesy of SofaScore. William Yarborough, with his big saves, had a 7.8, and Diego Rubio had an 8.8 on the night for Colorado with his goal on the board. Jonathan Lewis also a goal, and Shinya Shiki with the third for Colorado. Everyone else in the 6s and 7s, your 7s on the night. Mark Anthony Cade a 7.3 with his yellow. Lucas Estevez at a 7.2. Danny Wilson a 7.1. Austin Trusty with his yellow at a 7 on the board in the 6s. Lalas Abubakar at a 6.9. Michael Barrios a 6.8, along with Keegan Rosenberry. Jack Price at a 6.5. Your substitutions, Shinya Shiki with the goal in 16 minutes of action had a 7.3. Everybody else in the 6s. Brian Acosta 6.9, along with Stephen Beitashour. Colin Warner to 6.6, and Max had a 6.7. Looking at some of the key moments in the match, obviously, Jonathan Lewis was early on trouble for Atlanta United. 2 opportunities early on in the first 7 minutes. Then you had the early Tyler Wolff chance that was saved by Yarborough, one of his first 4. Then you ended up with the Atlanta United growing into the match, and then you had the Hosechu shot in the 24th that was deflected high, and then you had other opportunities there. Also, that run of possession in the 25th. Then you had Rubio off of Alan Franco. Obviously, a bit of a rough night for Franco in his first time back, and so Diego Rubio with the goal on the board in the 34th that made it 1-0. You had another close call from Lewis a couple of minutes later, and then Price with his yellow card challenge on Hosechu. That was in the 43rd. You had Miles coming in off the corner in the 44th minute, and then Gutman and Joseph combining just at the end. A great ball from Andrew Gutman in from the left-hand side. Joseph had the ball lost in his feet, couldn't quite convert it and turn it. So we ended up at 1-0 at the break. But once again, the first 5 minutes of the half turning out to be big for the opposition against Atlanta United. Rubio and Lewis combining to make it 2-0. And that was how it was. You had another opportunity for Atlanta United in the 53rd with Gutman with the free kick there. It was once again saved by Yarborough, led to another corner, but nothing coming of it. And there was a call a couple minutes later off of a corner for a possible VAR interruption, but it did not come to pass. Ended up just being 2 corners in a row for Atlanta United. Nothing happening offensively there. Then you had the double switch, and Hosechu had a shot blocked in the mid 60s. And that run in particular is something that's definitely a highlight of the night when you're looking at Mateus Hosechu. Then Marcelino Moreno coming in a couple of minutes later with a shot that was high. But at that point, the game was stretched, and you were going to have moments where a lot of folks were going from one end to the other. And in that altitude, you could tell that a lot of folks were gassed in that final 15 minutes. Then Miles with the professional tackle getting his second yellow in the 86th. Reminder, once again, he won't be around for the Colorado match. And then it was a 3-0 final on the board. So let's get to what you folks were thinking on Twitter for the night in particular. And we'll address your points. And once again, we'll go back and look at them one more time when it comes on Monday. And going all the way back to the beginning of things, starting off Bobby at BNS 1986. He thought it was meh, understandably so, with a 3-0 loss. And Michael Head, who was great to see Michael at the kit party in downtown Decatur. He said, just trying to level set. Are we going to have 75% of 2019 Joseph going forward? Because that is what minute 46 indicates. Michael, when it comes to Joseph Martinez, once again, you're dealing with a lineup that doesn't have some of its pieces still. And Joseph Martinez is going to attract a lot of folks, and he's going to have a lot of folks defensively chasing after him. So it's up to a lot of folks offensively for Atlanta to try to find other ways to get the ball to Joseph, and in turn, for if Joseph gets the ball, to have opportunities created there as well. So it's just, the early part of the season, it's match number 2. So we'll see how things continue to grow. Once again, coming into tonight, you didn't have Ozzie Alonso. You still don't have Thiago Almada. You still have Jake Mulroney, not a part of the lineup as well. And so there are, and still don't have Santi Sosa. So there are a lot of missing pieces here for Atlanta United right now. So you're on the road in Colorado, missing a lot of pieces. And obviously the reputation of Joseph Martinez precedes him. And, you had Robin Frazier's bunch defending him as best they could over a full 90 minutes. Matthew Talbot saying that Alan Franco is awful. Matthew, obviously I would profoundly disagree with that. You have a bad night where you're beaten in a couple of instances, and yes, the games come down to moments, but I would not say under any circumstance that Alan Franco is awful. We will agree to disagree there. Emilio, coming in, frustrating to see basically a depth team. I understand it can't be helped. You didn't have anything, understandably so there, Emilio, as well. John Nason, watching the Charlotte game and the difference in surface and pass completions, night and day to what we had to endure at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Pineda needed to make some adjustments. Style wasn't going to work tonight. Game number 2, plenty more season to go. Yes, John, that is correct. There is plenty more season to go. And, after the match, when Gonzalo Pineda was asked by Jillian Sakovits about it, Gonzalo Pineda said that perhaps he didn't get the tactics right. And then you have to adjust on the fly like that. And so that's just part and parcel to how things are with your approach. And you end up going from there. So Noskovic going back and forth with Michael as well, talking about Matthew Talbot, going back and forth with Alan Franco. And so he said that Franco was bad, so were a lot of players. Joseph blew a point blank shot. Griffin Westbrook coming in all honesty, it feels like a fluke game. That does not excuse the pathetic performances from Hernandez and Franco. Moreno felt like the only bright spot in the whole match. Also not sure how I felt about Campbell playing a center mid. Let's take our anger out on Charlotte. Griffin, I know a lot of folks will share your thought pattern there about taking the anger out on Charlotte, as Charlotte is coming off a very emotional night with their action going on at home in front of 74,000, almost 74,500 at Bank of America Stadium with the LA Galaxy in town. So it will be interesting next week. And, biggest thing that I will continue to impress on folks is that, yes, you had a lot of folks that were missing, and you don't know how much the altitude was a part of this. And once again, you're talking about altitude with fronts coming in and all that kind of stuff. You don't know how much of an impact it was. And once again, you're still getting Marcelino Moreno back into full song, where you could get Marcelino from 15, you get him from 20, you get him for 30. Hopefully he gets past that point over the next week. Do you still bring him in off the bench? Does he give you 45? Does he give you another 30? Does he start? So that's how, the questions that you have for Marcelino Moreno. Brooks Lennon, once again, he came in last week against Sporting Kansas City, and Brooks gave you what he had on the night. So you have folks who are coming into the lineup who aren't at 100% match fitness, and still they're getting into the swing of things as well. So there's a lot of factors here, and you end up with a night like you had there in Colorado. And once again, Noskovic, first road game, bad conditions, missing 5 or 6 important contributors, 32 games left. Absolutely. Megan Garrison, decent first half, but the second half, and Megan posts a GIF, and she obviously was not impressed by the second 45 minutes. And Michael Valverde, we were literally run out of the building. Rubio was the best player on the pitch by a long way. Atlanta United couldn't link up the back to front, missed chances. You can't do that on the road against a good team. It was humbling. Nathan Pugh said that the Prairie Dog Refuge next to the stadium is cool. And I don't know if that means that, Nathan, you were there actually watching the match or not and got the chance to see the Prairie Dogs. Shiva says it was a bad team loss. Everyone's responsible, starting from Goose, ending with Joseph. They all have to get better, and they will. Shiva, I know a lot of folks are once again in line with you. I'll have to get better from this performance, and they will. Once again, there's 32 matches left here involving Atlanta United, and they're 1-1. Chris Kilroy also on the board, and he's the last one that we'll look at here when it comes to Twitter. Chris says, yeah, we had a hodgepodge lineup, just didn't come together. Sejdic, who is usually pretty good, was not. I wouldn't necessarily agree with you there. I mean, Sejdic he wasn't a standout, but I wouldn't necessarily say he was bad. Campbell just seemed slow and plodding as a defensive midfielder. Joseph wasn't sharp either. Franco was ball watching some, need Goose to shake the rust off too. And once again, I will say it's just match number 2. You have nights like this. What you do is you take from this, you learn from it, you go forward, and, tip your hat to Colorado. The Rapids come out with a 3-0 win after shaking off a 3-0 loss where Carlos Vela gives you a hat trick from LAFC in 35 minutes. And they got a full week to shake off what happened in CONCACAF Champions League, losing to Comunicaciones. And so we'll see now how Atlanta responds with a week as they will welcome Charlotte FC and everyone down I-75 or I-85 I-85, that's right, down I-85. As I get my interstates confused, not the first time, and it won't be the last, but everybody coming down from Charlotte to hang out with us at Mercedes-Benz Stadium next week. It'll be interesting to see what the traveling party's like and what the building sounds like. And 17s Atlanta United's definitely going to need your support in full and in full throat for the next home match here, going up against Charlotte coming up next week, with Atlanta United losing 3-0 to Colorado on the road at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Commerce City, Colorado on the weekend. So once again, thanks to everybody for hanging out with us and being a part of the SDH network when it comes to all the programming that we have across the board, whether it is programming like this, whether it's hanging out with us on Monday through Friday, and you get to listen to all of the great guests that we have, and whether it's analysis from Jason and Jarrett, myself across the board, you're looking at, we couldn't have done this without you, point blank, and we still can't. We thank each and every one of you for being a part and parcel to how things are each and every week. So that is Salty Takeaways and Bitter Ends. A lot of salt from folks after a 3-0 loss, understandably so, in Colorado to Colorado Rapids. Once again, red card to Miles Robinson. He will not be part of the lineup as Charlotte comes to town next week. And so the back line's going to look a little different for Gonzalo Pineda and Atlanta United as Charlotte FC comes to town off of their match at home in front of a packed house at B of A against the LA Galaxy. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us for another round of Salty Takeaways. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.